On January 31, 2025, after 22 years on death row, Marion Bowman Jr. was executed by lethal injection at Broad River Correctional Institution in Columbia, South Carolina, the first execution in the U.S. that year. Candy Martin, 21, was found dead on February 17, 2001. Her body was discovered in the trunk of her burned-out car in rural Dorchester County, South Carolina. The vehicle had been set ablaze in a wooded area, and the body inside was charred beyond recognition. The day before, Martin had last been seen alive. Autopsy reports confirmed she had been shot twice, once in the back and once in the head, before being left in the woods overnight. Then, sometime after her death, her body was placed in the trunk of her own car and torched. Within 24 hours, police arrested Marion Bowman Jr., a former high school acquaintance of Martin. Prosecutors claimed the motive was rooted in a $150 drug debt, a sum Martin allegedly owed Bowman for crack cocaine. But others suggested a more sinister motive. Bowman reportedly told friends he suspected Martin was working with law enforcement, possibly wearing a wire. Still, there was no forensic evidence, no fingerprints, no murder weapon, no surveillance footage, only a network of witnesses, mostly family and friends of Bowman, who agreed to testify in exchange for leniency in their own legal troubles. Could the murder of Candy Martin have been orchestrated by someone else, shielded behind a series of plea deals? Bowman's conviction rested entirely on testimony. The prosecution presented multiple witnesses, several of whom were facing charges themselves. His cousin, James Taiwan Gadsden, testified that he had witnessed the shooting firsthand. Another relative admitted to helping dispose of the weapon. Friends said Bowman confessed to them. Each of these witnesses received either reduced sentences, immunity, or plea bargains in exchange for their cooperation. Bowman's defense argued these testimonies were unreliable, driven by self-preservation and devoid of supporting evidence. No DNA, no ballistics, no gun. Nothing material tied Bowman to the crime scene. The state's entire case stood on the credibility of witnesses with a vested interest in Bowman's conviction. Was this justice or convenience? In 2002, Bowman stood trial for murder and third-degree arson. He declined a plea deal that would have spared his life and insisted on his innocence. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. He was sentenced to death that same day. Over the following 2 decades, Bowman's appeals focused on claims of ineffective counsel, racial bias, and suppressed evidence. His attorneys alleged that his original lawyer believed a black man accused of killing a white woman had no chance before a jury, and thus failed to properly defend him. They also argued that the prosecution withheld potentially exculpatory information, contradictions in witness statements, evidence that undermined credibility, and psychological evaluations that cast doubt on a key witness's testimony. The South Carolina Supreme Court rejected all appeals, calling the claims meritless. By January 3, 2025, an execution date was set. Bowman chose lethal injection, one of 3 methods legally available in the state. After 22 years of fighting the system, the clock ran out. Bowman had chosen his last meal earlier that day, a feast of fried shrimp, oysters, fish, chicken wings, tenders, onion rings, banana pudding, and German chocolate cake, washed down with cranberry and pineapple juice. Prison officials said he ate most of it. In the final hours of his life, Marion Bowman Jr. remained composed and silent, a demeanor that had defined much of his time on death row. According to prison officials and media witnesses, he showed no signs of fear, panic, or emotional breakdown. His behavior was described as calm, alert, and resolute. Bowman declined to meet with a spiritual advisor and did not request any additional time with family. He also refused a final phone call to the governor to request clemency, a move his attorney later described as intentional. Bowman, they said, viewed the clemency process as a formality rooted in a system that never gave him a chance. His refusal was interpreted not as hopelessness, but as defiance, a rejection of the justice system that condemned him. As he entered the execution chamber, Bowman walked steadily and without assistance. He made no verbal statements, asked no questions, and offered no eye contact with witnesses in the gallery. He lay down on the gurney without resistance and remained still as prison staff secured the straps. When the injection began at 6:07 p.m., his breathing intensified briefly, described by witnesses as deep and heavy, lasting less than a minute. His face remained passive, his eyes closed. There were no visible signs of distress, struggle, or pain. His respiration slowed until it ceased. He was declared dead 20 minutes later. Throughout the process, Bowman never cried, never apologized, and never lashed out. If he feared death, he did not show it. If he believed he was innocent, he took that belief with him. Unshaken, he did not speak. Instead, his attorney read aloud a final statement. "I did not kill Candy Martin. I'm innocent of the crimes I'm here to die for. I hope this brings peace to her family." The statement ended with a short poem he had written in his cell, one that prison officials refused to release in full. According to his attorney, it was a reflection on pain, redemption, and being unheard. Bowman's final moments were quiet. No tears, no defiance, only silence. Was it the silence of acceptance, or the silence of a man who had spent 22 years being ignored?